Greetings, fellow scribes! Welcome back to the archive. This week, I kick off a series talking about Starfleet battles. I'd already talked about Starfleet battles back in the early days of my channel, and I will include a link in the description below to the original video. But, big thing to remember is this is an alternate universe Star Trek. This is not the Star Trek that would yield us Deep Space Nine or even Next Generation. This is a Star Trek based on the technical manual of Franz Joseph. So this one goes a bit different. This one has factions that would never be seen in classic or even modern Trek. Each one has its own sort of way of doing things, has their own ship aesthetic, but also their own ship design philosophies. That's mostly what I'm going to be talking about in this series. But we're going to start off with the faction by which all others are compared. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as we talk about the Federation. What do I mean when I say that the Federation is the standard by which all other faction ships are measured? Well, simply put, Federation ships are stock average. They don't excel in any one particular area. They have so many different things going on. They have phasers, they have torpedoes, they have shields, they have probes, they have shuttles, they have drones, combat drones. That they don't specialize in any one particular thing. So, being a jack of all trades, means that you're a master of none. So, when you look at another ship, you go, oh, this ship has weaker shields than the Federation, yes, but it has more guns. Or, this ship is slower than the Federation, but its hull can take more damage. Really, if the Federation excelled in anything, it is power distribution. This is kind of a unique thing with the Federation, because they specialize in not specializing. They have systems that would normally be being allocated power by other factions that a Federation captain might not be putting much power to. For example, I might be putting power to my phasers and torpedoes, but I don't want to allocate power to launch drones. This is partly because drones are a pain in the arse to keep track of, and I just want to blow stuff up. But because of that, I've got this extra power. Because a Federation ship starts off being able to allocate power to all of its systems at a level to function at. So, if I'm not using the drones, if I'm not using the shuttles, if I'm not trying to throw in transporter bombs, then I've got that power for shields and main actual weapons, torpedoes and phasers. And guess what? Someone hits me in the warp nacelles, I've lost some power distribution. I've lost some of the power going to the various systems on my ship. What do I not have to do? I don't have to juggle. Am I allocating power to this system that I wouldn't be using normally, so I can keep this system going? The first couple times, I'm not having to do that. Then, as I go deeper into damage, as the enemy starts tearing apart my nacelles, or hitting reactor or impulse engines, I can still keep more systems going, simply because, since I don't specialize in anything, I don't have to worry about the systems I'm not using. Every other faction has to walk a much sharper knife's edge in determining where they're going to distribute power. And that is the Federation's one key strength. That they have stuff that's dead weight. The other benefit of having stuff that's dead weight is this is stuff that can get hit and not affect the performance of the ship. For example, say I am not using my probes. Say I'm not using my combat drones. Someone hits my drone hangar. Or drone racks. You want to know how much I care? Not at all. Here, eat a Protorp. And that's the Federation in sort of a nutshell. The Federation does have a huge variety of ships. They have the Federation Heavy Cruiser, which is well known and loved by Star Trek fans. You might know this as the Constitution class, the class of the Enterprise herself. They have some various variations on it. The Command Cruiser is another well-known one. Not seen on screen, but it's well-known in Starfleet battles. And then they have the big papa of the Federation, the Federation Dreadnought. The Federation Dreadnought is a 3 warp nacelle monstrosity. It has forward and aft phasers and torpedoes. It has the heaviest hull and heaviest shields of any Federation ship. And it has the most powerful impulse drives. Put simply, a Constitution, a Federation heavy cruiser, has 30 power from its warp nacelles, 4 from its impulse engines, and 2 from its anti-proton reactor, for a total of 36 power. The Federation Dreadnought has 45 power from its 3 warp nacelles. It has 6 power from its impulse engines. So at this point, we're already at 51. And then, on top of that, it has 2 extra power from its anti-proton reactor. So, we're talking about a ship with 53 power. And at first, it sort of seems like looking at the saucer section, its saucer section is pretty much identical to a heavy cruiser's. 4 forward-mounted protorps, 4 forward-facing phasers, 2 side-facing phasers. Noting that 2 of the forward-facing phasers also go into those sides, so that they have a wider arc to cover. And then you get into the secondary hull. The secondary hull has 2 360-degree arc phasers, and then has 2 rear-firing phasers. Of course, the one thing it doesn't have is combat drones. The Federation Dreadnought is a brawler of a ship, and its systems use up enough power that it can still keep going well after taking heavy damage. And this is what makes the Federation the force it is. They have their masses of joke ships, and then they get off their arses and will actually design a warship, and it's scary. But it's not as scary as the Klingons' answer to the Dreadnought in the General War. Next week, we get to talk about the Klingons. So until then, I'd like you all to remember to have fun and keep gaming.